Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another broadcast for IROC Series here at Darlington Raceway for tonight's R&R Raceware Throwback 150. My name is Josh, and alongside me tonight is Alan. Good evening, Alan.
Good evening. Good to be back. I hated that I had to miss Nashville last week, but just had something come up, so glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, as many of you know, last week we took a break, and IROC itself took a break for Thanksgiving to let the boys enjoy time with their family. But now we're back, and this time
2 weeks ago I meant, sorry.
Yeah, and now we're back, and we're in a non-points race, and we have some special schemes on the track as well too for the Throwback event as well.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be an exciting race for these guys. You know, whenever you're on those throwback schemes at an old track like Darlington, you definitely want to put together a strong race. So these guys are definitely going to give it all they've got here tonight.
So kind of going over the format for today, it's going to be a little bit different since we're at Darlington. We are going to be doing two sets of heat races, which are going to be 25 laps apiece. We're not going to do any sort of qualifying. Basically, those from the heat races advance over into the main event, which is going to be 150 laps over Darlington, but also there's a little surprise, and the field's going to be inverted as well too. So we're not going to go into details of how that's going to work. We'll leave that to everyone's speculation, but both heat races will be inverted as well too. We're going to have a competition yellow at lap 50, and also we're only going to have one fast repair, which is something the league's been running pretty much the whole season, alongside two sets of tires, but something that's different that we haven't seen, 70% fuel this time around.
Yeah, and I think the big thing that you know, especially here at Darlington, is going to be that fast repair, because for most of these guys, at some point, it's not a matter of if you hit the wall, but when. And another question is how hard you hit the wall when you do hit it. So there's going to be times where I think a lot of these guys are going to take that fast repair, possibly a little prematurely. So that's definitely going to be interesting to keep an eye on. We've figured out that it is very, very difficult to keep track of those fast repairs during the race, but we will try our best. But I think that's going to be a really interesting thing to keep track of, just when exactly these guys use their fast repairs.
Yeah, absolutely. On top of that, too, it looks like they are going to be giving away some money as well. The heat winner is going to receive $5 in iRacing credits, so if you win both heats, you've ultimately just snagged yourself $10 towards a new track, a new car, or anything in iRacing. But on top of that, if you end up winning the feature, you're going to get $10 in cash, which is nice for a series where you don't have to worry about buying in to win money. So you're going to see some craziness, I'm expecting. With it being non-points, basically all gloves are coming off, and it's going to be anybody's race.
Yeah, and right now, when you're talking about iRacing credits, $10 can go a long way, because there are some very, very interesting tracks that are coming out, including the legendary Coca-Cola Superspeedway from NR03. That is certainly going to be exciting. I know everybody cannot wait to get their hands on that track. So there you go. That's one track that's pretty much free for the winner of these heat races right there. Yeah,
on top of that, iRacing seems to be shelling out quite a bit throughout the remainder of this year and into next. I mean, we have a couple of dirt tracks that are coming out as well too. Speculation going around on Reddit and everywhere else of other asphalt tracks coming in. So it's going to be interesting to see. Coca-Cola Speedway is going to be freaking awesome.
Yeah, some good road courses coming out too.
And it's just a good year for iRacing in general. But it looks like we're going to be getting ready here. We're not going to go over the gridding for the heat races, because iRacing does not play well with the gridding when it comes to heat racing. So we're going to leave that to just the timing screen and kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So on the timing screen, starting here, we're going to have Stoney Benfield, Matt Henry, David Trumbley, Tim Schofield, Dakota Clark, Hunter Clark, Brandon Medford, Chris Quick, Vincent Short, Ken Harper, Kyle Steffens, and Evan Faust. 12 guys in this heat that we're going to be running here currently. So let's take a look. I think these guys are gridding up. Yes, they are. And we're not going to go over any sort of points. Like I said, this is a non-points race tonight, so no sense of looking at the standings. Next week, once we get back into rotation and back into the series again, then our points will continue on from there. And we're already at the halfway mark. For those of you that aren't aware, we're 9 races in, 9 races to go. So season's almost over.
Yeah, and for these heat races, I think you already mentioned it, but just a reminder, no cautions for these heat races. So you see a big pile up, oh well, got to keep going.
Yeah, do your best to get through it, keep it clean, and make your way onto that feature. But you're going to see some sharp cars out here. We can already see the 97 of Stoney Benfield there supporting that Sharpie's car. But I think one of my favorite cars that are out on the track right now, was it Tim Schofield? Let me make sure, because the lettering, yeah. Okay, Dakota Clark. The numbers aren't matching from the scoring, but the 07, that Jack Daniels car, I just like the simplicity of it. It's a very nice car.
So I may or may not work at a Christian university, so I have no opinion on that.
Yeah, so you're going to see some throwback schemes. We see the pace car coming off the track. Stoney Benfield's going to bring these guys to the line to start us off, and of course they're going to wait for the green flag to come out. Then after that, it's anybody's chance to take off, and just like that, Stoney's going to get a great restart, getting ahead of Matt Henry there in the 19.
And here at Darlington, turns 1 and 2, if you go into it too wide, you're going to be in trouble. We've already got trouble on the back, the 43 car involved, a couple different cars there. So already first lap trouble for some of these guys. And I was just saying, you go into turn 1 too wide, there's going to be issues, and that's exactly what happened on lap 1. I know it wasn't on the screen, but it was the 43 car. Actually, in game, it's the 54 car of Chris Quick, but sporting the number 43 STP car. So Chris Quick gets in trouble on that first lap.
Yeah, the numbers are going to be a little jacked up just because the guys can basically just run whatever scheme, and you see it right there. Ooh, Matt Henry, that's the notorious turn right there. We got the one spinning in the back, Hunter Clark. We're on the front stretch. This track is so hard to keep track of.
No, we've got more trouble.
Yeah, we do. I just saw that there.
Kyle Stebbins, the 23 of Evan Faust. Oh, man, this is going to be survival here. Nobody. We'll see if anybody can finish this race without getting damaged.
Yeah, absolutely. The track here, one and two, pretty much straightforward. To be completely honest, in the longer runs, as the car gets tighter, that outside wall off of 2 is going to be getting some stripes here. But off of that, 3 and 4 is literally the hardest corner in this whole entire track. You got a little bit of braking going into the corner, and you got to keep it amongst that wall. The high line here is where it's at, which makes passing almost impossible.
Yeah, it's very difficult. This is absolutely a track of survival. I mean, they say it's the track too tough to tame, and that's absolutely the case, because as soon as you start to worry about the cars in front of you or behind you, you forget about the track, and you find yourself just slamming into that wall. It is just as tough in iRacing as it is in real life. I mean, if you just take turn 2 just a little bit wrong as he slams the wall there,
yeah, the
you come out of
contact.
2 just a little bit too hot, you slam that wall. I mean, it's not light contact. You slam it.
Yeah, it's unforgiving at this point. It's not a nice little scrape here and there. Like you hit it the wrong way, you can do some. Oh gosh, you can do some damage to the car. Henry seeing that outside wall there. The thing that confuses me about Darlington is that the track is just so similar in the way it looks that when you catch action in the middle of it, I almost forget where we're at in the turns.
Yeah, I mean, this is my home track. I'm born and raised in South Carolina, so I've been to a lot of races here at Darlington, and it's so cool to not just watch a race here, but to be a part of it in iRacing. It really is my favorite of the full-length races that iRacing does every year in the iRacing series, and it's just so much fun. But at the same time, it does wear you out because, like you said, there are times where you kind of do go into a little bit of a you kind of get into a trance a little bit. You get used to making those left turns, and you do kind of forget where you are sometimes. So it's definitely a very tough track to run because, like you said, as soon as you just lose a little bit of focus, you're riding that ball.
Absolutely. We just saw the 27 of Tim Schofield there in the Kodak 27. taking over Brandon Meffer there in the 99. They're now battling side by side, trying to go into turn 1. Mefford's going to let off going into it. Now, again, I would assume the ARCA cars would probably be about the same. I'm seeing a lot of guys kind of lifting going into turn 1. As far as I know, you can take that turn full throttle all the way.
Yeah, it's definitely kind of loose going into the turn, but once you're in it, yeah, you're pretty much set up until around the middle of turn 2. At that point is kind of where you do kind of have to lift a little bit more to set yourself up coming out of the turn. It's a very, very strange couple of turns that it's very tough to explain. And I remember when I first got iRacing, the first track that I tried out was Darlington, and it just confused the absolute heck out of me because of how strange turns 1 and 2 truly are. It's just a turn unlike any other.
Yeah, I remember when I first started racing this track in iRacing in general. I think it was like the Cup cars. Understanding how unforgiving the turns were in general and just how close you have to be to the wall to get a good line in. Like the amount of skill you have to run at this track is just insane compared to any other track that's out there, in my opinion. You don't have a whole lot of racing room in general. The racing surface is so small, and then on top of that high line being so dominant throughout the corners, it's just tight racing. But here, Matt Henry, I mean, he's seen the wall a couple of times coming out of turn 2. But I think with all the chaos that's kind of happened near him and behind him and everything, I mean, he's pretty much got a good sized gap between him and Tim. Tim's got plenty of time to catch up, and I think he's slowly gaining a little bit here and there, but the battle with Brandon might be slowing him down just a little bit because these guys have kind of been going at it the last couple of laps. Oh, just as I say that, man, Henry finding that outside wall again, he's going to come back up the track.
And
luckily
he
he saves it.
Too.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he probably found that outside wall again coming off of 2, and that time the car did not handle it well. But now that's going to put...
Wow, he just disconnected. So he's
he's done.
a little frustrated right now. I'm assuming he's going to come back for the main feature, but yeah, that's definitely interesting move there.
Yeah, that's the thing I'm trying to get clearance on now is because I see iRacing has it set up to where only 10 were advancing. So I don't know if that's the case or if everyone is going to be advancing. Oh no!
We said this is going to be survival. Who is going to make it to the end here? Right now, Brandon Mefford is going to end up with the lead. Nice job, though, by Tim Schofield to collect that car and to keep going in that Rusty Wallace Kodiak paint scheme. Rusty Wallace was my driver growing up, so definitely appreciate that scheme there. But yeah, definitely an interesting turn of events in the last couple of laps here in this opening heat.
Yeah, depending on what's happening, if 10 do advance, well, we have Matt Henry and Ken Harper who both disconnected, so we started with 12 drivers, so everybody would advance at this point. If we're only looking at the 10. So we'll have to see if that's the case. I think Hunter Clark, he's in the pits, but I mean... Yeah, I mean, we have 10 guys out on the track right now, so these 10 guys should advance.
And by the way, we're just on lap 15. We are already seeing over a 1.5 seconds fall off with these tires. That's another thing about Darlington. It chews up tires like you wouldn't believe. So definitely going to see these cars wow, kind of tripped myself there. Tire wear is going to be a big part of this race, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and speaking of tire wear, you only have 2 sets of tires in the feature.
Yeah,
150 laps.
For 150 laps, that's not much. So these guys are going to have to keep their tire wear in mind. They're going to have to be careful.
Yeah, and if we're seeing a 1.5 seconds fall off from that in 150 laps, most of these guys are going to wait till the halfway mark in order to get tires. It's going to be rough. These guys are going to be battling this car around this track in the feature, that's for sure.
Yeah, what these guys are going to have to do is, for that first half of this race, they've got to be clean. They can't have a caution come out because, you know, if you have those restarts where you're on either really worn down tires or brand new tires, that's just chaos waiting to happen. So what these guys need is a long green flag run to start this race in order for that tire wear, that tire strategy to come into play. Otherwise, it's just going to be a mess.
Kind of interesting. I was looking at Kyle Steffen's car. He kind of has that front end covered up to the point where it almost looks like a Pontiac a little bit. I was like looking, I was like, wait a second.
Looking up at the front, Tim Schofield does continue to chase down Brandon Mefford. So a little bit of an interesting finish going on here for this opening heat. Again, just 25 laps. We're only at 6 laps to go. And as soon as I say that, Schofield hits the wall going into turn 2. So that might end that momentum that he had, because he was catching him, but not anymore.
No, and we're going to have about 6 laps to go while we're coming around here. And if Tim can catch Brandon, I wonder if he'll repay him the favor. It's a fun race. It doesn't matter. You're not racing for points. You're racing to have fun.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, you know, that $5, or sorry, did you say it was $10, right?
No, $5. Five for the heats. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, is $5 important enough? I mean, that's that'll definitely be interesting.
Let's just put it this way: he, even after hitting that wall, he's caught up so quick.
He's catching him quick. So yeah, this is definitely going to be. Could be a Ricky Craven, Kurt Busch finish we see here in this opening heat. Should be interesting.
I think what's happening, I think Tim is really, oh no. We'll talk about it again. And he starts to lose it.
You saw it there. You saw it right there, though. Brandon Mefford was the one that got right up against that wall, and he actually ended up with the momentum coming off of 2. So it is dangerous to be next to that wall, but if you cannot hit it, it gives you a lot of momentum. You see right there, Tim Schofield was closer to the wall. He ends up with the momentum coming off the turn. So
yeah, now
definitely pays off. You live in the danger zone. At that time, he does end up in the wall.
Yeah, Brandon Mefford that time getting into the wall now.
Now Tim hit it hard.
Oh gosh, yep.
And
turn
there
2,
you go.
Notorious right there. That's going to give a clean run for Tim to take this, but
Schofield had to let off more than he wanted to going into turn 3. This is fun. Good start to this event.
Yeah, 3 laps to go. These guys still battling each other side by side. Both of them kind of nailing the wall a little bit. I see Tim's taking the line that I was wondering, where you kind of cut down below those dotted lines to get the entry into one. And by the time you get into it, it kind of shoots you up the track just enough to get you on the outside, but it looked like he opted to stay lower than normal. So I think if he stays alongside that wall, he definitely could catch and maybe even clear Brandon.
You know, Schofield had a great turn, but did get a little bit loose coming off. And we are at 2 laps to go now. They both get at each other.
Oh, gosh.
Oh my goodness!
And Tim is going to get the short end of the stick on that one.
But they're still going. I mean, this is still not over yet.
Not at all. Tim's still kind of there. 2 laps to go. He's got a lot of ground to make up. But one person who's finally catching up now that these guys are battling the 21 of Vincent Short and that Air Force car. He might be able to overtake Tim depending on what happens here. But Tim, I mean, even the last couple of mistakes Tim has made the last few laps, he's happened to catch the back bumper of Brandon pretty quickly, but he's running out of time as they come off of turn 2, going onto the backstretch. White flag's already in the air. This is going to be interesting. I'm not sure, unless Brandon loses complete focus going into 3 and 4.
Schofield giving it all he can right here. He was very aggressive in the turn, but it's not going to be enough. What a opening heat. That was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. A ton of fun already. 25 laps in the books for the first heat. And Brandon Mefford is going to be $5 richer in iRacing credits. And heat number 2 is going to pretty much start immediately after this. So those guys are going to be getting lined up here pretty shortly. 25 laps went by faster than I thought.
Yeah, it doesn't take long, but it's a good preview. I mean, we saw fast laps, but we also saw that tire wear. The fastest lap just disappeared from me, so I wasn't able to see that. Let me get back to you on what those lap times were. The fastest lap for Tim Schofield, which is who I'm looking at right now, was a 28.652. His last lap or let's say lap 20, we'll use that as an example. That was one of his faster laps there at the end where he didn't get into a car, was a 30.074. So yeah, about a second and a half of tire fall off there in just 25 laps. So it doesn't take much at all.
Yeah, that's rough. For this heat, we're gonna have 11 cars piling up. Brad McDaniel, Neil Quick going to be in that front row. Paul Buzzle and Kyle Pennygraph in that second row. Chris Wally, Mike Harper in the third row. Jesse B. King and Brian McCann in that fourth row. Kevin McCann and Colt Cecil in the fifth row. And Jarrett Widener in the 88 is going to round this one out. So we got the McCann brothers fighting for position. Brian supporting the Intimidator look there, that number 3 Dale Earnhardt paint scheme, and Kevin McCann in that 000 car. I'm not 100% sure. Thomas Bros Country Ham, Asheboro, North Carolina. Okay, might be. Is that a paint scheme you're familiar with at all?
That's before my time. You know what?
Nice.
I do remember seeing the 427 CI in the front.
Yeah.
I want to say maybe Cale Yarborough. Maybe
Possibly.
that might be completely wrong, but I want to say it's around that era at least. But I'm
like
looking
it.
at the front row. We've got a Jeff Gordon throwback. We've got another Rusty Wallace throwback in the midnight paint scheme that he
I
raced in
love
the
that paint
90s.
scheme.
We've got a Tony Stewart
Both
scheme.
of them side by side. New
So yeah,
and
this
old.
is a fun Terry Labonte scheme just behind him. So yeah, this is gonna be a fun one.
All right, so Brad McDaniel in that 24 car going to bring us to the start of this race. We're waiting for
Is
that
that
green
a Brian
flag.
Vickers throwback scheme, the 25?
And Jesse B. Kings.
And the
I'm not-
24
I think so.
already.
I think so.
Hey, we've got cars on the wall already.
Oh, the 14.
Oh!
No! The 14 coming down. Kyle Pendergraft almost taken out. Jesse B. King in that. And we saw Brian McCann slowly get around that. Now he's battling his brother side by side going into turn 3. But going to let off and let him take that spot. Probably a smart move there. But yeah, chaos already, just like heat number 1. We're seeing that same chaos.
We are 0 for 2 on the opening lap for these two heat races. Gonna definitely, to see these two fields combined, that's gonna make an interesting lap 1 in the main event.
And all I can say though is in this
Oh,
heat,
we've got more trouble.
oh,
It's the
yep,
Terry
I see it.
Labonte throwback.
Yeah, the 22.
That is
That's
Chris Wally.
Wally. Unfortunate. He's definitely got some damage to that Kellogg's number 5 machine. Back up front, Neil Quick, current leader right now. Paul Buzzle behind him, and that number 9 car, who it looks like might be having some connection issues. He kind of just dropped off. Oh, there he is. Nope, he's gone again. All right. Well, Neil Quick is leading us in that 2 car. Man, that car, that paint scheme is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
I really do like
I'm
that a lot.
never gonna complain about a Rusty Wallace scheme. So, like I said, grew up pulling for him. So, but yeah, some very good looking schemes here today. I'm not sure that
Cole
the
Cecil, how did I
Hydra
miss? Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
how did I miss the 19 car?
I don't know if that's a throwback
Hy-
scheme or if that's
yeah,
a
I don't think it is. I think what he did is he went with throwback colors. Hydrotech PC is one of the sponsors for the IROC Series. I want to say Colt Cecil, if I remember correctly, is part of the company. I'd have to get clarification on that, but I think he's representing them in some way. So, of course, shout out to Hydrotech PC, one of the sponsors here at the IROC Series race alongside R&R Raceware and Loud Pedal Gaming. They're the ones bringing this together. R&R Raceware's got a fantastic prize on the line as well, too. Something I didn't mention before, but definitely need to. For the winner of the race, they're actually going to get a winner's plaque from R&R Raceware. It also looks like second and third place is going to receive some sort of plaque of some kind as well, too. But I'm more curious to know what that plaque looks like. You get a little trophy that you can just hang up and be like, yeah, I won the throwback race at Darlington.
Yeah, it's always a little something else to aim for in this race, a little more on the line. But Tell you what, Neil Quick has checked out. He is almost 2.5 seconds ahead of second place, which is Kevin McCann. So anytime you're ahead of the two McCann brothers, that's a big deal for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw Brian McCann in practice, of course, laying down some crazy fast laps. He was pretty much ahead of everybody else in the practice times. Not surprising, the dude puts in the time. I saw him get into the Discord racing chat at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. I don't know if he was already practicing, but if that's the case, that he's practicing 2 hours well before the race even starts. So he's definitely putting the time in. We're looking at Paul Buzzle here in the 20, Tony Stewart theme. Taking the outside wall just a little bit into turn 4. Was kind of on the back door of Colt Cecil in that the 19 car now. Unfortunately, going to lose that momentum there, but the McCain brothers still up here battling each other.
And they are currently a little bit faster than Quick. Kevin McCann's last lap was a 28.556. Neil Quick's last was a 28.782, so it gained about 0.2 of a second. Looks like they're putting together another solid lap here. Neil Quick at 28.688. Kevin McCann at 28.676. Brian McCann was actually the fastest one that lap with a 28.65. So very even lap times for the top three right now.
Now, their fall off is not as intense from their best to their last lap compared to some of these other guys from the first heat. I mean, we're only 10 laps in. I'm not sure when that fall off is really going to start happening. I mean, the times are definitely getting a little slower, but not by much. 0.3 from Kevin, about 0.3 from Brian as well, too.
Yeah, it seemed like up to lap 15 was when that fall off was really, coming into play. And it seemed like the last 5 or so laps, it was really about the same. So I think about that lap 15 to 20 mark is when we're really going to see that fall off take place.
Neil Quick is trying to enjoy the view of the boast he can. Lap 11 completed here. Doesn't have any company. Still about 2 seconds ahead of Kevin McCann. Him and his brother still up there. As long as he can hit his marks, he should be fine. The guys are slowly catching him, but not by much. So as long as he can keep it up against that wall like he's been doing this whole entire race, he's pretty much in good shape. He looks pretty comfortable. I'm not seeing anything too crazy by him. The line he's running is pretty smooth, but I do want to ride on board with Brian. I want to see what line he takes here coming into Darlington.
His line is definitely going to be interesting to keep your eye on. We've interviewed him in the past, and he talks about the diamond shape that he takes at most of the tracks, to where you go in right against the apron, you kind of come up a little bit in the middle of the turn, and then you go back down low to exit the turn again. Darlington, completely different ballgame. You can't do that here. You're going to be slow if you do that. So definitely going to be interesting to see what line he takes, not just on any given lap, but throughout the run as the tires wear down more and more. Does he just slow down and try to be more careful in the turns, or does he take a completely different line? It's always interesting to see what he takes. Yeah,
what's interesting is in 3 and 4, he's definitely taken a much lower line than I was expecting. But it seems to be working. You see he's catching his brother right here coming down the front stretch. This is going to be interesting to see. The turns are going to be the hardest to battle in, just because...
Sorry, I was going to say, you saw right there was some give and take. Now, it worked out for Kevin McCann. He was able to get the momentum off the turn 2, but he let up early going into turn 1. And that's what you see both in iRacing and real life. You just can't go into turn 1 side by side. You have to give and take, and that's what you saw there. And like I said, it did work out for him, but normally you would see that inside car be able to clear the outside car, because once it's just kind of common courtesy here at Darlington. If you can get to the inside of the car, they'll typically give up that position and give it to you.
Yeah, I was going to say his low line that he takes into 3 and 4 is kind of interesting, because most guys I don't see take that low line very often, but in his way, the way he's doing it, it seems to be he's not really losing a whole lot of momentum. So I kind of want to compare that to how Neil Quick is running, because he takes the more obvious line that I've seen from other series, from trucks to cups to Xfinity cars. So he's actually going to stay much higher, as you can see right here, in 3 and 4. go into the midline, and then it's going to go back up to the wall on the exit. So that's kind of like the common line that you see here at Darlington. So it's interesting to see somebody else adapt to a different line that's still pretty quick.
Yeah, and it all depends on your driving style and how comfortable you are. Kevin McCann just made a rare mistake. He just tapped the wall. Actually did more than tap the wall in between turns 1 and 2. He hit it pretty good there. But that's going to do two things when you take that high line. It's going to make you be more on the throttle, because being up there is going to help you turn a little bit more, but it can also make you prone to that wall. So it really all depends on how comfortable you are at this track and how aggressive you want to be. Kevin McCann is trying to take a safer route, slow down his car just a little bit more in order to get through that turn lower and not have to worry about hitting that wall.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing, too, being so close to the wall is one wrong move and you're going to get sucked up into the wall. And at a track like this, it's not going to spit you out. It's almost like a magnet, especially with these cars on top of that. You can't get away from it, and turn 4 is so notorious for that. It's bad. But we saw there, it looked like Kevin gave that spot away to Brian as they were going into turn 1, so maybe that's some form of strategy there, and Kevin
lost connection.
Disappeared. He's pulled a Houdini on us, and that's going to be terrifying. Neil Quick, though, still, again, doing a fantastic job up front. It's showing the gap between him and Brian now at 3 seconds. That's insane, because before we were at about 2 seconds in, so whatever line Neil Quick is taking that 2 car is definitely benefiting him every lap.
Yeah, I'm still seeing Kevin McCann on the track according to our timing software. Actually, yeah, he is back on the track now. But yeah, he was gone for quite a while, and you see now that he is back on the track, he definitely fell back quite a bit. So I really think that contact that he made with the wall a couple laps ago definitely is hurting his car right now.
Oh, you see Paul Buzzle there just a little bit. I was going to talk about Jesse B. King in the 25. Paul Buzzle hitting the outside wall coming off of 4. Jesse, unfortunately, involved in the first lap wreck there. Kind of saved it, and then unfortunately there's not really much else he can do. He's got pretty much heavy damage there, but he's in the top 5. Again, I haven't gotten the confirmation if it's only the top 10 advancing. If that's the case, only one of these guys would be going home in this heat. Right now, that person that's on the bubble would be this guy right here, Kyle Pendergraph in that 14, who's actually racing behind Paul Buzzle right now. Him and Brad McDaniel are the only two that are 2 laps down. And speaking of Brad Daniel, he is in the wall hard.
Yeah, he was in the voice chat earlier. He said he is just having all kinds of issues getting around this track. So, yeah, just not a good day for him coming in.
I don't think that 24 could get any more damage. That whole left front is just done for. But Kyle Pendergraph is going to take that spot away from him now. Back up front, we'll see if Brian has made any ground. It doesn't look like it's still about 3.5 seconds off of Neil Quick, who's basically been gone since the beginning of the race. Kevin McCann now dropping quite a bit. And as we start to look at that fall off like you're talking about, best lap for Brian is a 28.4. His last lap, a 29.7. So we're over a second of fall off. And I think you called it. Yeah, about 15 laps in is when we start to see it. So think about that as a feature race, 150 laps in. Your fall off at a 1.5 seconds is about 15 to 17 laps in. I mean, I don't even want to know what the tires are going to look like for those first stops.
Yeah, I mean, the secret, and as we are on the white flag here, by the way, the secret is to just be patient. I mean, even if you see the car in front of you distancing themselves from you, you can't worry about it. You have to race the track here. You can't worry about where everybody else is. You just have to sit here and try to treat it like basically a time trial. Just get clean, fast laps, and that's all you can really do.
And just like that, Neil Quick crosses the line, finishing first in the second heat. Had a clean car until about literally the last lap coming off of 4. Just touches the wall a little bit going into it. But other than that, he had no competition anywhere near him.
That was a victory tap.
Yeah. Neil Quick is going to be $5 richer. and we are going to be moving on to the feature. So depending on what happens, we should see 4 guys in total drop. So we'll have to see if that's the case. So iRacing is going to start up here. We're going to have a 5-minute warm-up as well too. And yeah, so after this we will go to a feature. So a 5-minute warm-up for the guys. I'm not seeing... Actually, yeah, we might have lost some guys. So I think it was the 10 advancing from each heat.
Do you understand that my microphone might be having a few issues? Not sure if it sounds better currently or still having that issue, so we'll do the best we can on our side.
Now, while these guys are warming up, we will take a quick break and we will be right back.
Can you tell a difference at all? Did I sound okay before, or? Oh, okay. Yeah, Tim said that I sound like a robot. He said it's like an echo, so I wonder if for some reason I'm going into like my sound is going into the broadcast twice somehow. That's what it sounds like to me. What's that? No, you sound fine. Oh, apparently.
It's going into the broadcast twice. I could hear Alan that whole time he was responding to me. But now I don't hear anything, but I don't know how delayed it is. Oh, I hear myself.
So, ladies and gentlemen, having a few audio issues here. We'll be back with you momentarily.
Oh, I hear myself.
Even if I have us muted in the booth, it still comes through. So that is very interesting. Just like that, we finished our 5-minute warm-up, and we are actually going to be getting gridded here for the feature. Just if you don't mind, anyone who is watching, if you do hear anything different, please let us know. We would appreciate that. Sometimes YouTube is a hit or miss for some reason. Don't know why. We don't change anything on our end, and some days it's just the broadcast just doesn't want to work. Alrighty. Alan, you got a copy?
I do.
All
Brian
right.
McCann is currently playing a prayer through his microphone, and I can barely hear you right now.
All right. Well, Brian McCann says a little prayer for everybody on the track. I'm going to go through the grid. I'll just go through the grid.
Thank you.
Starting in row 1, we got Jarrett Widener and Matt Henry. Row 2, Kyle Pendergraft and Kyle Steffens. Row 3, Chris Wally and Dakota Clark. Row 4, Paul Buzzle and Chris Quick. Row 5, we got Mike Harper and Evan Faust. Row 6, Jesse B. King and Stoney Benfield. Row 7, Colt Cecil and David Trumbley. Row 8, Kevin McCann and Vincent Short. Row 9, Brian McCann and Tim Schofield. Row 10, Neil Quick and Brendan Mefford. Row 11, Hunter Clark and Brad McDaniel. And rounding out the last row will be Ken Harper. So 100... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
If you're curious, the prayer that he played was the chaplain before the race when he mentioned his smoking hot wife about 6 or 7 years ago. So it was a pretty good one to reminisce on. It was hilarious.
Nice. So we got the short starts here. So as the guys come off of turn 4, we will be going green. This time around, Jarrett Widener in the 88 and Matt Henry. Actually, sorry, not Matt Henry. The numbers are all jacked up.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough one to keep track of. But we'll do our best.
Is that Kyle? I think Kyle Steffens is in the 8. I want to say it's Kyle Steffens. So Kyle Steffens, Jarrett Widener, going to bring us to the green flag. And just like that, we're racing here at Darlington.
Here we go.
And this is going to be
Turn 1.
interesting. So far, everybody making it through. Check back here a little bit. Colt Cecil side by side with the 25 of Jesse B. King. We see Kevin McCann there going down low. The 43 of Chris Quick and that STP. Oh, looked like he was going to touch the wall there just a little bit, but he doesn't. Gets it nice and clear, and everybody's basically single filed out now all the way back until we get to...
Did we just have a clean turn 1?
We did.
I'm shocked, honestly. Oh, we did have somebody just nail the wall.
20 cars in and a clean lap ran by all these guys so far. Oh, and just like that, big incident. I think that was Tim Schofield. Yeah, huge incident right now. At least 4 or 5 guys. Caution is definitely going to come out. The 99 of Brandon Mefford into that one. David Trumbley is part of that. Dakota Clark in that 07. Dakota Clark is completely destroyed. Brian McCann. Oh, Brian McCann has got some front end damage on that as well too. I'm going to try to bring up our replay here and take a look to see what happened. Let's take a look at Brandon Mefford. I think that was the first one that I saw. Actually, it looks like... Oh, it's going to start way ahead of him.
The 07, well, the 07 paint scheme, but technically car number 5 of Dakota Clark got loose, came back up onto the track. That caused a lot of cars to have to react, and yeah, just chaos from there on. So just, yeah, very, very unfortunate way to start this race. The 24 scheme of Brad McDaniel took a hard hit. His car actually doesn't look too damaged considering how hard that hit was, so he might actually be okay. But yeah, a lot of cars damaged here on the opening
Yeah,
lap.
the two of Neil Quick was a part of that as well too. But man, Brandon McCann, sorry, almost had a fantastic save. We're gonna go on board with him, take a look to see what happens from his point of view, because this incident's gonna happen right up front. You're gonna see the 07 grabs the wall, comes down, figured he was gonna stay down there, but comes back up the track right in front of McCann, and McCann gets to slow down just enough, but unfortunately it's not enough, and then you're gonna see chaos in front of him. Just, oh man, it's just brutal. We're gonna look at let's look at Quick as well too. Take a look from his point of view, because he's definitely further away from this incident here.
Yeah, you see him just come right back up the track there. Yeah, just unfortunate. I mean, everybody that's been in our racing has been there. You know, especially at this track. You're trying to stay out of everybody's way, but it's so easy down there on the apron. There's no grip, and that just causes the rear end to come around. And unfortunately, he just ended up right back on the track in front of everybody. And I'm sure that's a really helpless feeling for him.
And the 99 here, Brandon Medford takes a really hard hit. We're going to take a look at this one as well too. Just nowhere to go, and him and Trumbley just make contact with each other, and he ends up smacking the inside wall. Looks like Chris Wally kind of got through that a little bit as well too. Actually, it looked like he just a little bit of right front damage. He seems to get through it pretty nicely. So huge incident coming to lap 3, it looked like. And we're gonna get these guys racked back up and back at it again. Luckily, again, we do have a quick repair tonight, only one, which for 150 laps at Darlington is like the holy grail.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of them have already had to use that quick repair. We said it was going to be tough to keep up with, but it was a pretty safe bet for several cars involved in that wreck.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, David Trumbley was pretty much missing the whole front end of that car. Brian McCann is probably not going to waste it. Smart move. I mean, again, plenty of time. Probably going to try to get most of that damage taken care of under caution. The front end doesn't look... I mean, it doesn't look terrible. But, I mean, he barely nicked that inside wall, too. I'm just surprised he was able to get it slowed down as fast as he did when the 07 came up in front. Neil Quick is got some rear end damage still, so it looks like he did not take a quick repair. He barely tapped the inside wall as well too. Chris Wally is not going to take that quick repair. Dakota Clark,
Yeah,
not sure.
I'm surprised he didn't take his. That's definitely a surprise.
Yeah,
that car is just destroyed.
Yeah, he took a hard hit, so unless he accidentally unchecked it when he went into pit road, I'm not 100% sure, but he's still going to be on pit road. But the pace car is going to be coming off this time around. Jarrett Widener, Kyle Pennygraph up front, 1-2. And now the leaders are in control of the start. So we'll see when Jarrett goes. He's going to take a little bit and take that high line going into turn 1.
We've got one car going down to the apron. Actually, he's falling back on purpose.
Oh, and just like that, Kyle Pennygraph and the 8 car get into it. And caution is going to come back out on that restart. Have we... It's got to be Kyle Steffens, right? Okay, it is Kyle Steffens, the 08 car. Kind of saw it unfold there just a little bit. But let's take a look at it again. He just kind of clips Pendergraph just a bit, it looked like.
Yeah, just kind of ran Pendergraft out of room there, the 08 of Kyle Steffens.
Yeah, so you can see it there, the Bulldog on the front hood, Pendergraph at the high side. And right there just clips that inside of Kyle and gets caught up into that wall. Luckily, nobody else involved. That is a scary spot for a caution to come out. Right into turn 1. Oh, nowhere to go, but luckily the guys do a great job of avoiding that one. Try and get another angle here.
And And he almost did make it work. Almost had enough room there, just not quite. Just got clipped in the rear end at the last second there, and just yeah, unfortunate because that was very close, just within inches of being able to make that work, but just couldn't quite get it done.
Absolutely. So caution number 2 going to be coming out here at Darlington. And now we're going to see if these guys can start to get it going. We did a really good job the first lap in, but again, a points race. Everyone's here to just have fun. No one's here to get upset. Nothing like that. Points are not on the line. And if there's one place you don't want the points to be on the line, it's Darlington. But at the same time, at the end of the season, our very last race for this season is going to be at Darlington.
So good practice here tonight.
Absolutely. Guys being able to throw whatever scheme they want on the car, kind of hanging out and just chilling. It's nice to see what people will do when they have special events like this and what people come up with as well too. So I love a little throwback race here and there. I haven't done a throwback race in a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, it's always something to look forward to. You know, not just in real life, but here in iRacing too. You get to show off those old paint schemes, and it's something that even we're seeing in the official NASCAR iRacing series. I noticed that for the Southern 500, there were a lot of drivers with you know, kind of getting in the spirit and getting those old paint schemes out. So that was definitely fun to see. It's not fun to see them by the end of the race because there were a lot of torn up cars, but you know, especially at the start, definitely some very good looking paint schemes.
Absolutely. The Vincent Short in the 21 sitting in 9th spot there. The Hunter Clark in the 1 car, another nice little paint scheme, little DEI action going on there. I wonder, was Martin Truex raced that car still though, right? Back, because I mean, pretty much Martin Truex has been Bass Pro Shops since I can remember, and I know when DEI was created, I want to say they had him in that car, but I cannot remember. It's been so long.
Yeah, he's definitely been affiliated with Bass Pro Shops for a long time now. So
Let's see what else we got out here. Brad McDaniel in the 24 car. You know, Chris Wally's there. Stoney Benfield and the Sharpies. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. So the only people that aren't sporting throwbacks are only like a few, 3 or 4 guys. Not too bad.
And you'll be glad to know Hunter Clark did just confirm in the voice chat that that paint scheme is a Martin Truex throwback.
Yeah, I thought so. I was gonna say I'm pretty sure Martin Truex has been part of that for quite a while. I just liked DEI when they first came together. Not only just the paint schemes in general, that little E on the side was always nice, but it was like one of those cars, like when you see it, you knew it, like immediately. You're like, DEI. It was, I don't know. And with Dale Earnhardt being in it and everything else, I mean, I'm a huge Dale Earnhardt fan, so.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate what ended up happening with DEI, but yeah, definitely a huge team, you know, especially in the early 2000s.
So we got Jarrett Widener, now we got Colt Cecil up in the 19, the Hydrotech PC paint scheme, giving a lot of love to those guys there. Gonna have Jesse B. King and Kyle Pendergraph in 3rd and 4th spot. Let's hope this restart goes a little bit cleaner. Kind of interesting tactic here. I'm seeing Colt Cecil kind of dropping back to that 2nd row. But just like that, we're racing here again at Darlington. And Jarrett Widener is going to get clear of Jesse B. King. And we're going to go back here just a bit. Evan Faust in his 78 scheme. Running it. Tim Schofield back here as well too with Brandon Mefford. So far so good. And now it looks like everybody's getting kind of lined back up again.
Yeah, definitely some safety being taken into account here. Do have some close racing at the front, but yeah, pretty single file for the most part. A very good restart there, very clean.
The Colt Cecil in that 19 get a little loose off of turn 2 there, keeps it straight, trying to battle Jarrett Widener in that 88, wants to take that spot away. But like I said, with this track, most of the overtaking you're going to see, unless you get a really good run off of the turns, is mainly going to be the front and back stretch. Most of these guys probably aren't going to try to pass too much in the turns just to prevent any chaos. But you can see there Jesse B. King in that 25, our current leader, running the fastest lap at a 28.45. And Jared Widener collecting the outside wall. Now we got...
unfortunately, one victim right now is Neil Quick. He is actually dead last of those cars currently on the track with some pretty significant rear end damage. So he is definitely off pace right now. I'm assuming he hasn't taken that fast repair. I think he's trying to save it, as we do have a car. Kyle Pendergraft has spun coming off of turn 2. It is a self spin, so he'll keep going, no caution. But unfortunate for him, that was actually coming off of 4 actually.
Yeah, Kyle Pendergraft just trying to get that thing situated there. But as all that was going on, Jesse B. King's kind of just clocked out here. He ran another fast lap, back-to-backs, 28.3 that time by last lap. So he's finding his spots, and he's definitely nailing them right now. Back here, looks like Kevin McCann and the Double O has finally made his way up front. He's in 4th place, Mike Harper in 5th. And starting to fan out just a little bit, and we're going to be around that time where tire fall off is going to start taking effect as well too. Vincent Short here in the 21 on the back bumper, Brandon Mefford in that 99.
Ooh, 24
we got a
car.
huge mess back here.
Yeah, 24 car. Brad McDaniel is still on the wall. He was in the wall the entire front stretch.
And he's
still in the wall.
Still in the wall going into turn 1. That's what I'm saying, that magnetism with these cars, it's just, you get into it and it's so hard to get off of it. And it's weird, it's only certain cars that do it. Like when the 87s came out, man, you want to talk about suction on the wall, those things were terrible. So hard to drive. But back up here, Kevin getting a little bit of that wall. Doesn't really slow him down. He's going to have a huge run coming off the turn there. Going to be picking up some speed behind Jarrett as we go into 3 and 4. Let's just see how much momentum he's going to get off of... oh, was that 1 and 2? No, that was 3 and 4. Jeez, I get so confused.
Yeah, I get confused already. Yeah, we've made that mistake a few times already. I'm sure it won't be the last. But
That's the one track that doesn't have 1 and 2 markers in it on the wall. It's just Darlington all the way around.
Yeah.
Mike Harper back here. Looked like Evan Faust got around him pretty cleanly. Mike Harper was kind of slow on the backstretch there.
Yeah, we did have a 2-car incident a couple laps ago. The 43 of Chris Quick, or technically the car number 54, but with the 43 paint scheme of Chris Quick was involved in it, and there was one other car on the backstretch. They were both able to get down to the apron when they were spinning, so that's why the caution didn't come out. But yeah, unfortunate.
Oh, he's gonna get in the way here, just like that. Almost collecting Tim Schofield and David Tremblay there as they were coming off of turn 2. But yeah. If y'all don't know, it is admin throwing cautions. It's not iRacing throwing the cautions. So we've been given strict ruling on where to throw the cautions at. So pretty much as long as you're not on the racing surface and you're not getting in the way of anyone, it's a single car spin. We're not going to throw the caution out for that. But if it collects numerous cars and we're looking at 3, 4, 5 cars, I mean, it's going to be a caution every single time. So iRacing is just a little tedious when it comes to the caution throwing. So
it just depends too. It varies by track, and I remember this when I did the Southern 500 in the NIS series. It seemed like if you got down to the apron, even if there were multiple cars involved on the backstretch, it would not throw a caution to save your life. So it's so strange because there's certain places at certain tracks that iRacing will throw a caution if you're just going slow. But then there's other places where you can be on the racing surface, and there's no caution called. So that's what the league's trying to do, trying to clean up those times, the inconsistencies at times when there's cautions thrown and when it stays green.
Absolutely, and we want to bring as much green flag racing as we can. I know the guys on the track want to see as much green flag action as possible too, making it a little bit more exciting as well. Green flag pit stops definitely shake things up quite a bit when you're thinking about it. So it's a nice change. We're still getting used to it. I know Alan is still trying to get used to doing both sides of things, but I mean, this is only your second race doing flags, so as we slowly start getting into it, it'll get much better, and we'll definitely see these guys in longer runs as well too. We still have 9 more races to get it all figured out, but so far so good. And we're 25 laps here, and it's looking good. These guys are fanned out pretty far from one another so far. And the tire wear is definitely taking effect. Like I said, now we're starting to see that fall off really start to take over these guys. But remember, 2 sets of tires, we're only 25 laps in, so you really need to hold on to these sets for as long as possible. So Kevin McCann, earlier when Alan was going over the cautions, we saw Jarrett in the 88 collect the inside wall in 1 and 2, allowed Kevin to get around him. So now Kevin taking a nice little move there to get around the 2-car Neil Quick, even though he is a lap down, went below the dotted lines to get around him, made it work, but he's slowly catching up to Colt Cecil in that 19 car. And Jesse B. King still out there, 1.5 seconds ahead of second place.
Yeah, we are seeing a good little pack developing coming off of 4. With Kyle Steffens, Brian McCann, Tim Schofield, David Trumbley, and Kyle Pendergraft. So we'll see if they can keep it clean as they are getting pretty close to each other.
We're on board with Tim Schofield here in the 2070s behind David Trumbley there. Behind him, we do see Brian McCann, who has extensive front end damage as well too. He's going to be currently sitting 10th. Probably looking for a caution to get some of that repaired. I doubt he's going to waste a fast repair on it just because you never know what's going to happen. It's still a lot of racing to go. But you can kind of see here Schofield and Trumbley still keeping it clean, nothing too crazy. It's kind of insane how big of a gap it is between a lot of these cars as well too. Ooh. Mike Harper there collecting the wall.
Those sparks flying. We've got to have a good battle for second place between Kevin McCann and Colt Cecil. They're getting pretty close.
You saw back here, go back to Mike Harper. See if he collects that wall. The 14 of Kyle Pendergraft getting around him. Kyle Pendergraft 5 laps down, unfortunately involved in a few incidents as well too. Brian McCann's got a little bit of a handful with Kyle Steffens in the 08. But so far so good. I'm not sure if that damage is affecting the car at all. Can't really tell. But one thing that will happen with the drivers here is in 20 more laps, we will have a caution yellow at lap 50. So we'll have to see what the guys decide to do. Who's going to come in and take tires and who's going to decide to just take fuel. Because on top of that, when we're running a 70% fuel load, which I do believe is different for most of these guys. I think they run 100% for pretty much the rest of the series.
Yeah, we're seeing a good battle right here between Trumbley and Mike Harper. Saw that give and take right there, and that's what these guys are doing a nice job of doing, trying to keep each other out of trouble, trying to keep from getting into each other, especially in turn 1 and 2. So they're going to have to keep doing that, but we're seeing a pretty good looking pack right now of cars. This could heat up before this competition caution at lap 50.
Yeah, on board with Kyle Steffens in the 8 car. We're going to see Brian McCann there in the 3, trying to take that spot away from Tim Schofield. But again, that momentum on the high side, allowing Tim to still stay there and basically clear him going into 1. So that just, again, as much as we've been talking about it, just shows you how much momentum you can gain off of that high side if you hit it right. But if you don't, that's exactly what happens right there. The 27 of Tim Schofield collects that outside wall coming off of 2. and made easy work for Brian McCann to get around. And just like that, Brian McCann is going to have some more trouble with Kyle in the wall out of 4. But luckily, Kyle gets it straightened back up, and we stay racing here. Back up front, our leader coming in, Jarrett Widener in the 88, sitting in 5th. It's tapped the inside wall, or sorry, the outside wall a couple of times, but it's not Darlington unless you hit it, you know?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the 24 of Brad McDaniel made an epic save. He hit the wall pretty good coming off of 2. The car started sliding real bad. I mean, he was completely sideways, could have come up the track and caused a caution, but instead was able to somehow save it. It was a pretty impressive save there.
Try to go back and take a look at this. I think it's right here. Yep, there it is. Oh, gets that thing completely sideways. And right in front of the leader as well, too. So good save there by the 24 Brad McDaniel. We're going back live. Take a look. It looks like Mike Harper in the 4 and Kyle Steffens getting into it. He's going to go a little high. It's going to allow Brian McCann to take that spot away. Same with Tim Schofield. It's going to follow right behind him. And this is pretty much the biggest pack right now as far as racing goes. Tim Schofield trying to get something going for Brian McCann. Even
Chris
with
Wally just nailed the wall in turn 3 and 4. He hit it pretty good there. He's pretty much flat. That right side of his car pretty much completely flat there now.
Let's take a look here and see what happens.
It's kind of a strange place. I think he kind of lost control. Oh no, just too much momentum and just ended up hitting it pretty good there.
Yeah, it gets a little loose out of 4 as well too, but that's the most common spot. I mean, when I was learning Darlington, that's pretty much almost every time that's where I would hit the wall, and in 4 is right on that Darlington text. Once you get the cool thing about turn 4 is once you get it down and you get that good line, like the way that the car just sucks up close to that wall and gains that momentum through the turn, like it's probably the best feeling for me, just because Darlington is such a hard track, and I race it in the truck series, so it's a little bit different for me. Once you hit that line and you're coming out of 4 and you're like sitting there, you're like, that was it. But trying to replicate it lap after lap is literally one of the hardest things.
Oh yeah, absolutely. For me, Steve, and it really goes from person to person, but I never really had issues in turns 3 and 4. It's 1 and 2 where, yeah, it's 1 and 2 where I tend to struggle. But in the NIS race earlier this season, where I completely screwed up, and luckily I was able to keep it going and was pretty fast. It looked worse than it really was, was the safer barrier going into turn 3, where the safer barrier starts. I nailed that. And it was it's embarrassing when you do that, because the wall actually goes a little bit outside in order to give room for that safer barrier to start. And yet for some reason, I guess I just kind of followed that wall and ended up hitting the beginning of that safer barrier pretty hard. And that was definitely frustrating for me.
I think the problem with 3 and 4 with me is knowing that I have to brake pretty much going into it. And I think that's what scares me, because my attack when I come into 4 is basically up against the wall and then braking to stay with the wall. And my mind is like, I know if I screw this up, I'm going in the wall. And as soon as I think it happens every time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and again, that's just you have to concentrate on just putting laps together, and you sit there and react to something that hasn't even happened yet. Yeah, you're in trouble at a track like this. So.
Oh, Colt's gonna hit the wall just a tad. Gets a little checkup from Kevin there.
I tell you what, the leader, Jesse B. King, actually hit the wall himself coming off of. Actually, no, it wasn't coming off of 4. It was in the middle of turns 3 and 4. So even the leader having some issues here.
Yeah, I feel in the long runs, 1 and 2 really starts to tighten up, and you start to feel yourself kind of shift more to the outside towards that outside wall, and that safer barrier just comes so far out on turn 2.
I'll tell you what, you might want to check out a replay of David Trumbley. I don't know how he saved his car, but he has his rear end just barely hanging on. His car was up in the air for a second, and yet he was able to somehow save it and keep going. He actually did lose his rear bumper.
Oh, I see that on the front stretch. He lost it completely. How far back?
It's about a lap and a half to 2 laps ago now.
Okay, let's take a look. See if we can find this bad boy real quick.
It's basically when his rear bumper was okay before, and then once it happened, his rear bumper was hanging. So it's definitely it'll be pretty easy to see.
Okay, here
based
we
on
go.
that bumper.
All right, so this should be it right here. Oh, yep, it is. Oh, oh.
Yeah. And like I said, somehow able to keep it going. I don't know how.
Let me back that up just a little more because I caught it right on the head here. Man, Kyle. Where's the 08? Okay, let's get in this real quick. Here we go. Yeah, I don't know how you don't flip that. Oh man, Kyle Steffens using them like a wedge. He gets him up on 2 wheels. Jeez. What a ride that was. Yeah, I'm actually surprised Trumbley was able to save that. Good on him for doing so.
We are just a few.
And just like that, we're right on board with Trumbley, and Mike Harper in the 4 gets the outside wall out of 2 and does it.
We are a few laps away from the competition caution, so I'm sure these guys could use a well-deserved breather if we do get to that point.
Yeah, a lot of excitement happening here. We see Kevin McCann with the 43. I think his number is not 43 on here, so I'm not 100% sure who that
54.
is. Okay, so Chris Quick, they almost get into it there. Another lap car. Chris Quick 5 laps down. But we can see Jesse B. King slowly coming into the frame with
and Brad
Kevin
McDaniel.
McCann.
Brad McDaniel went spinning again, coming off of 2. It's a single spin.
Yeah, it's looking like almost what was happening with his heat races. His car is pretty much mangled up. It almost looks identical to what was happening in the heat race. So he's going to take it to the pits. Back up front, Kevin McCann is running down Jesse B. King. Jesse King had about a 2-second lead on Colt Cecil, and now it's only 0.4 of a lead on Kevin McCann. I'm not sure what happened to Colt. He dropped all the way back from 2nd to 8th. I don't really see any damage, but he is definitely slow right now. He's not even on the racing grid. Oh, actually, I think I see the issue. Looks like that right front tire. Oh, Kyle Pendergraph in the wall, 14 coming off of turn 2. I can't tell, but Colt Cecil's right front looks jacked up. And I don't think I have a camera angle. Let me see if he comes around this turn, if we can grab it. Can't really tell, but it looks like the camber on that tire is kind of funky. They're coming across the line. Lap 50 in the books, so our competition yellow will be coming out.
They're currently on lap 50.
Yeah, their competition yellow will be coming out this time by. And Kevin McCann still making some runs at Jesse King in that 25 car.
The complete.
And they're coming to the front stretch here. And the yellow is out for our competition yellow. So be interesting to see who's going to take tires and who's going to stay out. You got 2 sets. We're not even halfway through the race yet. So I'm thinking fuel for most of these guys. So we'll have to see who comes down pit road. But as they stand right now, our top 10 currently is looking like Jesse King in the 25, Kevin McCann in the 133 who's driving the 00 car, Evan Faust in the 23, Jarrett Widener in the 88, Vincent Short in the 21, Kyle Steffens in the 8 car, Mike Harper in the 4, David Tremblay in the 96, Colt Cecil in the 63, and Chris Wally in that 5 Kellogg's machine is going to round out the top 10 coming to the competition yellow. 52 laps in, and now it's all down to pit stops.
And by the way, Colt Cecil was saving fuel and unfortunately didn't quite get it done. He is out of fuel, but currently getting a push by Chris Wally.
Nice. Sportsmanship, gotta love it. So Colt will be able to make it back to his pit stall. Jesse King, Kevin McCann, Evan Faust all down on pit road right now. Looks like Jarrett Widener, Vincent Short stayed out up front. Kyle Steffens is in. David Trumbley. Colt Cecil just now made it onto pit road as well too. Let's see. Yeah, we got some tire changes. Yep, Kevin McCann is also getting some tires done as well too. So it looks like we are going to see a 4-stop here. Kevin McCann out. And looks like he is actually, yeah, he's going to get around the I just had a brain fart. Where'd he go? Did he lose that many spots? Oh, there he, okay. The 25 of Jesse King, jeez. I wonder what Kevin did. Kevin had a faster pit stop than Jesse, 59 seconds, so Jesse might have missed his entrance there, might have overshot it just a little bit.
Because his stop was only a second shorter, a second longer than Kevin's, but he was on pit road about 5 seconds longer. So yeah, I believe he probably overshot his pit stall.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens up front here. I think everybody, I see the 3 of Brian McCann, he came down pit road. It looks like there's only one person who did not, and that's going to be the 97 of Stoney Benfield. Everyone else has came in for pit stops, so he's going to be 54 laps on those tires. So we'll see if he changes his mind or if he's going to stay out. Looks like he's going to stay out. So we see some lap cars in front of Brian McCann here. Oh, actually, Brian McCann is on the bubble to being a lap down. So the 3 cars in front there, the 24 is 3 laps down. So yeah, Brian McCann is gonna be the last car in the lead lap.
Yeah, I'll see if I can see what happened to him. Yeah, not sure. Not sure what happened to him there.
Yeah, I mean, besides the little bit of damage he had early on in the race, he's kind of stayed in the back of the race, back of the pack. He's got the damage fixed now. Again, I doubt he was going to use a fast repair to clean that up, but there's no telling.
And we do have quite a few waiver rounds here, including Brian McCann, so he'll be back in the thick of things now.
So Kevin McCann, Evan Faust, Jarrett Widener, Vincent Short, David Trumbley is the top 5 as we leave pit road on our competition yellow. And we're going to have less than 100 laps to go from here. While we're under this caution lap, I want to give a shout out to our sponsors, Hydrotech PC, hydrotechpc.com. All the links are going to be in the description down below. R&R Raceware, r-rraceware.com, and Loud Pedal Gaming over at facebook.com/Loud Pedal Gaming. Huge shout out to those guys for putting everything together for this series. Huge thank you to Hydrotech for coming on. The last few races just started the new sponsorship with them, so huge thank you to those guys as well. So the pace car coming down pit road, and Kevin McCann is going to bring us to the green flag. And David Trumbley up here with Colt Cecil. Still got a little bit of rear end damage as well too. Side by side as they go into turns 1 and 2. It's going to give that spot to the 19 of Colt Cecil. Colt is 1 lap down, so he's going to try his best to get back up there to get that spot back. But Kevin McCann, oh, and just like that, Colt Cecil around. It takes it off the wall. No damage there. No caution as he's a little spin off of 4. Luckily did not collect anybody there. Broadcaster's curse striking again.
Colt did just get a voice chat from Chris saying, I pushed you to because you ran out of fuel, and then you go and spin out like that.
Oh, man.
Chris actually gave up his lucky dog. iRacing considered him not going up to pace speed, and so he actually lost the lucky dog because of him giving him that push.
You see the 21 of Vincent Short sitting in 6, right behind Kyle Steffen in the 8 car. Been doing a great job of keeping the car clean all race. Besides the little stripe on the right side, he's actually going to try to overtake Tremblay loose. Oh gosh, real loose on the front stretch. Gets right in front of Vincent Short, able to slow it down. He's going to lose a spot to Kyle Pendergraft. Actually, he's not, because Kyle Pendergraft is 5 laps down, excuse me. He's going to retain that 5th place spot. And the leader of 25, Jesse B. King, right behind him, is going to try and take this spot away going into 3 and 4.
Yeah, definitely some closer races. We saw in the last restart, they were able to spread out pretty quickly. But yeah, these guys definitely fighting for several positions as now we see a big single file line. But yeah, definitely some interesting moments in these couple of laps here.
Absolutely. Kevin McCann is continuing to run away with this, about a 1.7 lead in front of Evan Faust, who is just about a second further than Jarrett Widener. Then right behind him, Jesse B. King in the 25 sitting 4th, and Vincent Short. You see that battle going on here now.
Kyle Pendergraft continues to have issues. Another spin on the backstretch for him.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I could have swore I heard some tire rubbing on the track there, and his tire is in the asphalt right now. Kind of interesting. He's gonna wheel that bad boy back to the pits. Back up front, oh, 21 of Vincent Short getting loose off of turn 2. Keeps it straight and out of trouble. That's going to give Kyle Steffens in the 8 car a nice little run up to his back bumper. David Tremblay kind of all by himself, just chilling in the 96 car. A little bit of rear end damage as well too. Chris Wally battling the 2 car Neil Quick. They're both a lap down, so they are fighting for position. Chris Wally sitting 12th and Neil Quick sitting 11th, took that spot away from him. And now everyone's starting to kind of figure it out. Hunter Clark is actually coming down pit road. He's got a lot of damage on that number 1 car. Let's see if we can take a look to see what caused that.
Yeah, he had a self-spin about 2 laps ago, and it was all by himself.
There we go. So number 1 car here, turn 1 and 2. See the 24, Brad McDaniel there with him. Ooh, just hits the apron. And the 1 and 2, and he's going to collect that inside wall.
That is not a fun place to hit.
Not at all. So extensive damage to his car. I think he's already used. No, he has not used a quick repair as
Yeah,
it comes
just
out
used it.
nice and clean. Going to put him 2 laps, actually 3 laps down, as we see Kevin McCann on screen pass by him. And Kevin is just running away with this thing currently. Kind of taking a look around to see where the action's at. Mike Harper and Brian McCann kind of close to each other. You got David Tremblay in the 96 sitting in 9th. But for those of you just joining in, welcome. This is Throwback race here at the IROC Series. It's a non-points race, so anything goes. And the winner here will actually get $10 in cash, whereas the 2 heat winners got $5 in iRacing credit. So the guys just having a lot of fun here at Darlington. It's going to be a nice little practice as we do revisit this track as our last race of the series back in February. So the guys trying to fill it out so when we come back in February, they'll have a good idea of what's to come. Right now, Kevin McCann is our leader. 2.6 second lead over Evan Faust. And just not a car in sight near Kevin currently. A lot of good racing in general, though. Guys are keeping it clean. We haven't seen anything too crazy. The self spins have been nice enough to the point to where they haven't really came back up the track at all. So that's
Yeah,
good.
It's gonna be, the one that I'm looking at are the two McCanns. Obviously, Kevin McCann leading by about second and 7/10, but Brian McCann still sitting back in 7th. He did get his lap back with a wave around, but obviously being on those older tires, definitely not where you want to be right now, as he and everybody behind him is about 12.5 seconds or more behind the lead pack. And so that shows you what new tires versus old that this track truly does. You fall behind very, very quickly.
And we saw there too, Brad McDaniel in the 24 catching the outside wall on the 4 right in front of Brian McCann. You saw him kind of slow down just a little bit as he was seeing the incident happening in front of him. Just trying to figure it out. Brandon Medford retired from the race, it looks like. I didn't even realize he was already out.
Yeah, and Hunter Clark has actually disconnected as well, so his race is over with.
We got about 18 guys racing here tonight. Let me see where our leader's at. Jesse B. King, our leader before the competition, yellow coming out. It's actually racing against the actual leader for the race today, and unfortunately, as soon as I say his name, he hits that outside wall going into 1 and 2.
We're just we're calling out all the bad luck today. But it's a pretty safe bet here at Darlington. I mean, if they're not hitting the wall one lap, they're hitting it the very next one. So
yeah, exactly.
It's just gonna happen.
It's just that that random chance of like, hey, my name's being called. Oh, we're hitting the wall now. Oh man.
Got a good race going on right now for the 7th spot between Mike Harper and Brian McCann. So you're seeing that on the screen right now, and of course, gets right as we say it.
Mike Harper collected that outside wall on the front stretch. Had a great battle going on there. But now he's going to lose quite a bit of space to Brian McCann.
Let's try this again. We had a good race just now for the 10th spot between Tim Schofield and Neil Quick. We'll see if they can stay off the wall here now that we've called them out on it.
Yeah, Tim Schofield, if you're watching the broadcast, don't hit the wall, all right? Oh, we got somebody down low. Who's that? It looks like that's
Quick.
Quick.
43 again.
Yeah,
yep.
Chris Quick there in the 43, looking like he's collecting that inside wall on the backstretch. Take a look and see what happened here. Yep, turn 2 wall. Just comes and bites you.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a hard hit. I'm surprised he didn't blow the engine on that thing. He's gonna wheel that car back to the pit road. Go back to this battle for 10th and 11th between Neil Quick and Tim Schofield. Neil won heat race 2. And he's currently sitting in 10th, a lap down.
Stunning Benfield just hit the wall pretty good in turn 4. He's able to keep his car going.
Yeah, it almost seems like
we were reacting pretty hard to these hits with the wall, but at this point it is what it is. I mean, these guys are just every lap somebody somewhere on the track is hitting the wall, and it just comes with the territory here. It's not a matter of if you hit the wall, it's when. We said that at the start of the race, and that's absolutely the case. Yeah,
I mean, the lady in black is a vicious beast, and you can't leave the track without the strip. That's just not how it works. Like, you're gonna have a strip by the end of the race, so you got to be proud and just show it. It's almost like you kind of want to hit the wall at some point.
Yeah, you're not. It's not damage. You're sporting it.
Exactly.
I think that's the right way to.
It's
to
part
say
of
it.
the
You're
livery.
Sporting that Darlington stripe.
Absolutely. One person that's not sporting that Darlington stripe is Kevin McCann, though. So Kevin, if you can hear us, just give the wall a little tap, and just add a little bit more paint. That's all we're asking for. So he's up front, 3.6 seconds ahead of Evan Faust. And then there's about a 3-second gap between him and third for Jesse King in the 25 as well too. And as the run gets longer and longer, like the tire wear now is 2 seconds in on some of these drivers. That's just insane.
Yeah, and by the way, Brian McCann, Mike Harper in 7th place just in front of him. They are almost 25 seconds behind the leader. Going to be in danger of getting lapped here before too long. So that just shows you those old tires. They risked it. You know, they stayed out and, you know, to try to save those tires for later. But this is what happens. You get a lap down, and you know that's they were able to get on back on the lead lap from taking the wave around, but unfortunately, if it stays green enough, you end up right back to a lap down. So they're really paying the price for taking that wave around.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, and the 24 of Brad McDaniel is going to hit that inside wall again, coming off a 2. That is literally the popular spot of this track. We see most of the incidents happening off of that turn 2 wall. So he's going to get it straightened out and back on the track. Take a look, Vincent Short in the 21 sitting in 5th, about 15 seconds from the leader. And most of these guys are about 27 laps on the tires, so not too bad. They only have one more set left. So still have a lot of racing to go here. And I can't even imagine what the cars are feeling like right now, to be completely honest. They've got to be tight.
Got a good battle for 7th place. Couple little 4-car pack going on right there between Brian McCann, Mike Harper, Stoney Benfield, and David Trumbley.
Trumbley getting a little loose off of turn 2 there. He wheels it back in. He's going to try and go down low on the... close 97 to Stoney Benfield there. Stoney Benfield is 2 laps down. Trumbley is still on the lead lap, but you can see right behind Trumbley, there's Kevin McCann in that white car.
Oh, Benfield just nailed the wall.
Benfield in
he
that
is
wall.
having a rough time with it right now.
Kevin McCann going to try and slowly get around this guy. Oh, Benfield going up high. And now he's going to close the gap to Trumbley here, who's really at risk of going a lap down. Mike Harper up here with Brian McCann trying to get something done. They had some opportunities early on, and the wall is just, you know, just an evil person. This place, so. Let's see.
Well, Kyle Petty once said that they should fill Darlington up with water and have a bass fishing tournament instead of racing. So that kind of shows you how frustrated people get with this place.
When we come back at the end of the season, that's when it's really going to matter, because we're going to see the tension flying. And with it being the last race of the season, I mean, when we get to the playoffs or chase, or, you know, we're getting closer to that championship, the Darlington, man, that's going to be really rough if you're a points leader going into that race. And depending on how everything falls, I mean, I know Brian McCann is the current points leader in the series as of right now. Still have 9 races to go after this, so at the halfway mark with Darlington. It'll be interesting to see what the next 9 weeks will bring us. I do believe next week we are going to be going to... pull it up. We're going to be going to Michigan on December 10th. Michigan's a great track too. That will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it'll definitely be a nice kind of a change of pace. You know, we've seen these guys do a lot of short tracks. We did see them in Indianapolis, and you know, it was very clean racing. I think there were only 2 cautions the entire race. So, you know, I think we'll see more of the same at Michigan. But with all that speed comes, you know, typically comes, you know, these guys get a little bit closer together when that happens. And as I'm saying that, Chris Wally just nailed the wall in turn 3. But yeah, I mean, when you have all that high speed, the cars are spread out a little more, but when you're going that fast, if you get in a wreck, you're going to hit hard. It's not just a little bit of contact and you keep going, kind of like it is here. You hit hard. So definitely going to be very important to stay clean in that race.
Yeah, Michigan's almost kind of like a mini Talladega in a way. It's very wide open. You got a lot of space to work with, especially, actually throughout the whole track. Chris Wally hitting the outside wall once again, but a lot of space. I ran a race there actually last night in the Cup Series car, and they reduced the power to 75%, and I mean, it was basically full throttle through the whole thing. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of just like a fun race for the league that I'm in, and the side-by-side action was intense. I mean, even at 75% power, the cars were still pretty hard to handle in the later runs as well too. Chris Wally just not. Ooh, did that take his? Hey, it's so weird. That right front goes out of commission for a few seconds and then comes right back. But yeah, Chris Wally is making friends with the wall right now for sure. All these guys are hoping for right now is a caution to slow it down, take a little break, or some pit stops. But I mean, we're only 89 laps in. Let's see what the stint's looking like now. 36 laps currently on these tires. So even if you were to take another set here, it's not going to last you to the end.
Jarrett Wiedner just nailed the wall coming off of turn 2. That was that definitely affected his car. You might want to go back and look at that one. That was a hard lick coming off of 2.
There he is. It's way high. Oh yeah, way high going into 2. And that shook the whole entire car. Almost spun out. I'm surprised some of these guys are able to save some of these hits, especially something like that. I mean, these cars are loose as hell, so I'm really surprised they're able to keep it together.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, there's a difference between loose and what these guys are feeling now, because now it's just a flat-out lack of grip. I mean, these tires are obviously used up. At this point, you're just hanging on for dear life. I mean, you turn your gear, and the car just doesn't want to turn. So, you know, when you have that lack of grip, I mean, it's, you know, we've been saying it the whole time, but you have to be that much more careful than you were before. And, you know, these guys are everybody's just really sliding into the wall left and right to the point where it's almost how some of these drivers are getting around the track. They're trying to use it to their advantage almost, it looks like. So that just kind of comes with the territory when you just have no more grip like a lot of these guys are facing right now.
Absolutely. I mean, I think between this, for the rest of the races, the only other track I could see there being a lot of issues is going to be Martinsville, which is 2 weeks out. So another short track, and that one is going to be tough. As far as difficulty goes, I still think Darlington on the schedule amongst the other tracks that we have. I mean, we have Watkins Glen coming up, Southern National, Richmond, Talladega, Texas, North Wilkesboro. I mean, amongst those little list of tracks we have left, I still put Darlington up there as probably one of the harder tracks to really kind of tame. I haven't raced Martinsville too much. I'm not a huge fan of Martinsville's layout. So unless my league is like forcing us to race there, I don't think I'll ever own Martinsville.
Yeah, it just depends. I mean, if you're with the right group of people, it can be fun, but yeah, I mean, in the NASCAR iRacing Series, it's always just a wreck fest. I think that our longest run, I think we actually started, I believe, with about a 20 to 25 lap run, which is great for Martinsville.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it was just caution after caution, and you know, it's about what you expected. I actually ended up getting disqualified because just getting caught up in so many different incidents. It's one of those races where it can happen to you just out of nowhere. You know, one race you're completely clean, you're able to stay out of trouble, and then another race you're in the worst places at the worst times, and you just can't stay out of trouble. And I was definitely the victim of that the last time at Martinsville. But you know, that's just kind of how it goes sometimes. By the way, the 4 of Mike Harper, as you see on the left side of your screen, just nailed the wall as well coming out of turn 2. So just more of the same here at Darlington.
Absolutely. I feel like I could just leave the camera right here.
Yeah,
This
you
is
really,
right
you
off
really
the two.
honestly could.
And just see, I want to see if someone can give us a little preview of what it would look like. There's Kevin McCann. Guys are starting to figure it out. I think everyone's spaced out kind of enough. I just want to see if we can grab at least one. Oh, here we go. Chris Wally.
Oh yeah.
There he goes. That gives you a little bit of an idea. Ooh, Wiedner there almost nails that outside wall. But yeah, I mean, we got these cars spaced out so much that you pretty much can see the whole pack right here. Like, there's not even really much of a break. Ooh,
Oh
and
my goodness.
there goes Tim Schofield in the 27. Nailing the outside wall there, coming off of 2. But yeah, I mean, turn 2 is just where it's at right now. I think Kevin McCann is about to lap his brother. Oh, never mind. Kevin McCann is coming. Oh, look, Kevin McCann finally hitting the right, the outside wall. I see a little stripe there. I wish I would have saw that live. He finally supporting the look now, but he's coming down pit road.
For the brand, you know.
Yeah, for the brand, got to do it. So 46.
I'm sure he did that just for us. It had
to have been. He heard it.
Didn't
He's
make
like,
a
oh.
mistake. He just he got bored and just decided to give that a try.
He's like, the boys want the stripe. I'll give them the stripe. So 46 laps in on tires. Kevin's gonna come on down. Good strategy. I mean, 46 laps in, he's gonna about 50 to go. So only saving a few laps and then go all out from there. At that point, pretty good. He just comes in as the leader, comes out in second place, and now everybody is a lap down except for Jesse King.
Yeah, Jesse King currently in the lead by, as you said, by more than a lap, but you have to wonder at what point is he going to come in, because
that point
he
is
is going
now.
to lose a lot of track time, and there you see it. Yep. I was going to say he was going a little strong onto pit road, but yeah, he was able to make it. So no issues there. But yeah, that's another thing about Darlington that we haven't really mentioned. It's the most difficult pit road to get onto as well. You can easily overshoot it. It happens all the time in real life, and it can certainly happen here in iRacing as well. And so that's just one more thing that these guys have to make sure they don't do, because you can lose a lot of time when you're trying to slow down to go onto pit road, and you end up missing it.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of Darlington's entrance on pit road. It's really hard to time where you want to go in at to slow down enough by the time you get there. And again, when you're on these long runs with basically no grip, touching that low line or even on that apron is just, it's not fun. It turns into a sled at that point if you're going too fast. See Brian McCann up here in third now. Has he pitted? He has, actually, I think he did pit because he's only got 16 laps on his tires. So he pitted at some point. He is sitting in third.
Well, Colt Stiesel came into pit just 3 laps ago, but he is already back into the wall, so he is currently struggling a little bit again with that race car. And you know, it's not easy to have new tires. To go from no grip to all of a sudden having all that grip, it's very easy to overestimate your car. You're used to, you're all of a sudden saying to yourself, okay, let's get going. You feel like you have to be fast to make up for all those laps where you just had no grip. And that can send you into the wall just as much as a car with no grip left. And so that's definitely something you have to try to be careful with when you have those brand new tires.
Yeah, I mean, imagine going about 50 laps and you're really wheeling it around the track, and then all of a sudden you get your new tires and you're like, holy hell, where did all this come from? It messes with your head a little bit, depending on how much you do it. You kind of get used to it after a while though too, but it's like a nice little surprise. You get out there and you're like, okay, this thing is going to stick now. And then the line is just a little bit different in your mind versus what you're used to. I think I just overthink everything anyways, so I think that's just my driving style. When I'm out there on the track, regardless if it's new or old tires, I'm like, yeah, these things are going to fall off so quick to the point to where I'm basically just going to be right back where I'm started anyways. But Kevin McCann, I mean, really making it look like child's play out here. at this point. Brian McCann, now that he's back on the lead lap, damage free, be interesting to see what he can do to try to catch back up. I mean, he's 11 seconds off of his brother currently. You see him fighting with David Trumbley, and he's going to give a little shove to Trumbley. And Trumbley's going to collect the outside wall. Oh, Trumbley's spinning again down low. Trying to not come to a stop. And yeah, I'm not sure if Trumbley came down and Brian McCann came up, but let's take a look. See it right here. Probably not a good angle. Oh yeah, so it looks like McCann just kind of comes up on Trumbley. Trumbley nowhere to go, kind of gets manhandled a little bit. And then just loses control after it. Not sure if he was wanting to get a yellow flag out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I think he was just trying to get going again, and you know, when you go down a gear and you get back on the throttle just a little too much, it can send that rear end right back around. I think that's all that was. I don't think he was trying to get a caution. I mean, he spun down to the apron, so
Yeah.
you know that you know, he's not going to draw a caution down there. So yeah, I think that was just trying to get going again, and just made a little mistake there.
We got Evan Faust up in third, Jesse B. King up in fourth, who's trying to catch Faust now, about a second off the pace there. Jarrett Widener's got his hands full with the 43 of Chris Quick, who is unfortunately 31 laps down, but you know, huge ups to the guys that stay laps down and still continue to race. Those are the type of guys that I can definitely respect, because it is rough, especially, oh yeah, Chris Quick nailing that outside wall there. But I mean, you get kind of discouraged. You're 31 laps down. You're hitting the wall so many times. As a driver, it gets so discouraging because you're trying to be fast, but at the same time, you're trying to like get this track down. And it's nice to see that some of these guys are actually willing to stay in regardless of the struggles that they're having.
Right, and yeah, like you said, it's easy to get discouraged, but you know, as a racer, you know, we subscribe to the service, we pay for it, we try to get on here, and you know, people have different reasons, whether it's to distract yourself from real life and you know, the world that we live in, and you know, it just, when you know, in those times where you are having a frustrating race, you know, you do what you can to finish, because I know that, you know, when you're racing for a good position, I always prefer for the lap cars to stay out there. You know, I'm not one of these people that tells slower cars to get off the track or anything like that. I mean, that just gets rid of the obstacles and the competition that you have to deal with in real life. And so, yeah, I think it's always good when people stay on the track and finish what they start. I try to tell myself, and there's been plenty of races where I'm multiple laps down, to just stay with it. And it's not always easy, especially in the full-length races in the NIS series, like the Coke 600 this year, like the Southern 500. I mean, it's very difficult to sit there and tell yourself to finish. But at the end of the day, even though you're not having a great finish, it still feels rewarding in a way. And so, you know, I think that's how a lot of guys feel at the end of a race, even when they don't have the best finish that they're looking for.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you know, no one's a champion right out the gate when you race these things if you're not used to it. Really, you can just, you know, chuck it up to practice at that point, and the more you stay out there, the more you start to realize the characteristics of the track, and you start to get the feel, and then before you know it, you're turning 200 laps and you got a good understanding of how the track runs. So one of the guys that we're looking at right now, 07, he was in an incident basically at the beginning of the race. He's 82 laps down, was in the pits for 49 minutes. 49 minutes in the pits. Just think about that. I guess he didn't use a quick repair. It's the only thing I could think of, but the car is back to normal now and he's still out here running. Regardless of what happened, He's still turning laps, and he's 82 laps down. It's crazy, and that's something that I'm preaching it here, but it's something I'm very susceptible to in general when I'm running official races. It's very, again, the discouragement when you have a good car and you know the track really well, and you get paired up with a bunch of guys who unfortunately don't know how to race in the official series, and it ruins everyone's fun. So it does suck. It's nice to have a league in general for these guys that they're willing to stay out to continue racing. So big up to those guys for real though. Like if you don't race in iRacing or anything like that, then we're just rambling at this point. But yeah, like you're saying, the lap cars are always fun to have out on the track. It gives you something new to race with when you're coming back around.
But we have an issue.
Uh-oh. What's the issue?
It's the 21 of Vincent Short. He currently has his hood up in the air. So definitely interesting there, but was able to, he's going back onto the surface. I don't know if there's going to be an issue. He's able to get it back down. He does. He's going to miss pit road.
Oh, there he goes. He's trying to close it. He's going to be stopped. Is he going to be able? Oh, he is missing a left front tire. Let's take a look. Let's see what caused that to happen. Yeah, I don't think he knew where he was going. So we're going to see him right here coming off of the infamous turn 2 alongside Chris Quick in that 43. Nails the wall. Chris Quick gets loose. Oh, yeah. Huge hit. And that hood just decides to come right on up. Kind of right on board. Give you an idea of what he's facing with. And sometimes you'll see it where the hood will come up on our side, but visually on the driver's side, it's not. But I think in his case, that hood definitely came up.
Yeah, I think so too. And I definitely saw it on my side as well. So yeah, if both of us saw that, then yeah, chances are that did happen on his screen as well. So yeah, definitely a big crash there, big time damage. He did come down pit road, and I'm assuming did get that quick repair. I'm not sure if he still had one or not.
Yeah, he has a lot of damage to that car for sure. He is still on pit road as well too. Back up here, just in time, seeing Chris Wally nailing that outside wall into turn 1 and 2. Oh, that was interesting. The 97 thought the 25 was coming up just a little much, and Stoney Benfield's going to get the outside wall, but there was plenty of room between the guys. And that's another thing. Like, that's another thing that scares me about iRacing is when you're on a single monitor, you don't have that peripheral vision of the triple monitors, and you hear your spotter saying car low. You don't know how low. You don't know if he's really close. You basically just have to go off of the sound of the engine to get an idea of where he's at. I mean, you can look over, but it's kind of terrifying, especially if you're in a turn and you're trying to come off a turn 4 at Darlington. Last thing you want to do is move the camera to the left.
Yeah, and you know, I've been racing iRacing in VR for a couple of years now, and
nice.
I'm telling you, it's amazing. I mean, it just the immersion that you get first of all, but also, yeah, I mean, like you said, being able to look over, not have to click a button in order to look to your left.
It's
I mean, you
much
can just,
different.
You want to see how close a car is to you? Just look over to the left and you can see it. So, yeah, it definitely, there are certain ways it does kind of give you an advantage, just being able to look over and see where those cars are. But yeah, it's so much fun racing in VR. If you get a chance to do that, if you have the computer to run it, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I have an Oculus, and I've raced iRacing in VR. Unfortunately, my body gets susceptible to like motion sickness a little too easily, which kind of sucks. So I don't get to do it for long. But the little bit of time that I've had in VR with iRacing, it's insane. When you have that depth versus looking at a computer screen and seeing where everything is at, when you have that depth in a VR headset and you're racing around a track, you can really see. Ooh, here we go. We got some
that was a hard
chaos back here.
Tim Schofield.
19 Colt Cecil also now on the outside wall alongside I think that was the 27 of Tim Schofield. But yeah, when you're in a VR headset, I feel like you can really nail your placement of where you need to be. I feel like it's a lot easier to really see the track in a different perspective instead of just like this flat computer screen.
Yeah,
it's so hard to compare the two without being able to visually see it if you've never raced in VR, but it is night and day.
You know, I have talked to a few people that actually have tried VR and said that it was a disadvantage for them because they're so used to being able to just look straight at the monitor.
Right.
So
Yep.
they know exactly where their marks are. And when you're in VR and constantly moving your head around, you kind of forget about those marks. And so there is a little bit, you know, it's possible for there to be a little bit of a disadvantage to being in VR, but I think the benefits that you do get far outweigh those disadvantages.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you're saying, being able to look over, it's much easier when you have the screen attached to your head and you can look over, and it's just different. Like when you drive a regular car and you look over to check anyone near you, it's kind of like the same thing as if you're in VR, versus where for me, I have to press a button to look over. How fast the camera moves from being forward to left, it just feels awkward. And then you lose control of the car. You don't know where you're at, even for that split second of trying to look over. Sometimes can cost you quite a bit. But in VR, I mean, you can literally just barely nudge over a little bit, still have an idea where you're at on the track, and still see who's beside you. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if anyone in IROC League races in VR, but if you ever get the opportunity to, definitely take it up. I mean, like I said, I have an Oculus Quest. $300. It's completely wireless. You get a little cable to plug into your computer, and you can race iRacing VR. And even with a headset that's not as powerful as some of the other VRs that are out there, I mean, honestly, I haven't had a terrible experience.
Other than learning to throw up from your motion
Yeah, the
sickness.
motion sickness sucks for me, but unfortunately, that's just my body. And that sucks because I really want to get into it, and I know I can only do it for short amount of time.
Yeah, I'm fortunate. I've never had to deal with that motion sickness, but yeah, I currently have an Oculus Rift, and actually am thinking about upgrading to. HP is actually coming out with a new one, the Reverb 2, I believe is what it's called. So
nice.
that's something that should be in the near future for me. So I'm definitely excited about that.
So, interesting thing while we were on the thing about VR, Kevin McCann came down the pit road, took some tires. That puts Jesse King in the lead with a 30-lap run on his tires. So, we got 20 laps to go, less than 20 laps now to go. King's going to have to come down to pit road at some point. There's no way he's going to be able to race McCann on 30-lap old tires. But his brother, Brian McCann, looks like, did he come down too? Yeah, he came down as well too. He came down a little bit earlier than Kevin. So it's going to be interesting to see how that strategy will pay out for him versus King. Is King going to run as much as he can, or is he going to start to come in sometime soon? I was surprised to see that means McCann at some point didn't take tires on one of his pit stops. He must have just taken fuel only. Actually, it was that pit stop. Sorry. I'm over here answering my own questions. It was an 8-second pit stop. So yeah, he took fuel. Even most of these guys, yeah, Jarrett Widener in the 88 took fuel. He was only in for about 4 seconds. I hate that iRacing resets the stint when they come in for pit stops, because even though Kevin took fuel, he's probably still on older tires. And we can't see that now. I mean,
all over the track. A lot of these guys are really getting close together right now. We've had a couple of laps in a row where, you know, there's been some contact between cars and more, you know, wall hits. That's nothing new, but yeah, these guys starting to really get a little bit chippy late in this race. Be interesting to see if they can keep a caution from coming out. Of course, that's the last thing that Jesse B. King wants to see. Now, the McCanns are catching it. They are still, Kevin McCann is a little bit less than 30 seconds back now, so it's going to be, he still has time, but there's only, it looks like there's only 16 laps remaining. So, yeah, definitely going to be a close one here. If I had to bet on it, I don't think that he's going to have enough time, but as much time as he is making up, it's still a possibility.
Yeah, I completely forgot that King passed McCann in the pits and put him a lap down. So when I saw McCann gaining on King, I thought that was going to be for the lead, but it is absolutely not. So yes, this puts McCann in an interesting predicament. It almost, if I was Jesse, I don't know, because looking at the lap times coming by, I mean, McCann is making up some ground. Making a decent amount of ground, actually.
Close to about a second and a half a lap.
Yeah. Yeah, that's close, man. I mean, I think King could probably ride this out, to be completely honest. He literally has no one around him. I think he stays out, doesn't pit, and he's golden. Because McCann still has to get around lap traffic in other cars as well, too. Jesse's still just right there. So yeah, I think Jesse stays out. He can have this one in the bag. Take a look around here quick. Oh, we got some action up here.
Chris Wally.
Oh. Spinning in the front stretch. Don't come back up the track. And he doesn't. And caution is out. We'll give these guys a little bit of a break. Let's take a look. See what happens here. Collects the outside wall into turn 1 and 2. Continues to collect the outside wall as he exits 2. And that right there was... Oh wait, sorry, that was 4. I see. So easy to get confused. Yeah, 4 was just the money shot. Gets him spun around and the caution will come out. I think this is caution 3 of the night.
Yeah, not a whole lot about that. That one was I was kind of in between whether to call that one, but he did start coming back up the track, did get back onto the racing surface, and so that was why that caution did fly, but that definitely makes things very interesting.
It does, because now Jesse, he's going to have to pit, most likely. I don't think he will, because there's only 10 laps to go. By the time they go green, they're, what, 8 laps in? I don't know, man. That's a tough decision. I don't know what his fuel is looking like, too, on top of that, because he's 39 laps in, so he's got to be cutting it close on fuel. But people like Brian McCann, it's going to give them a huge opportunity to try to run away from this one as well. So only 3 cars on the lead lap. And we started with 20. So running the laps down here, got about 10 laps to go. And so far, so good. I mean, 3 laps of cautions. Of course, we've seen some single car spins, but nothing too crazy. Again, Darlington having that huge apron kind of seems to help out with that as well. We see Brian McCann here getting the lucky dog coming back around. Gonna put him on the lead lap. And now Jesse's gonna have to handle 2 McCanns on this last restart. Here's to see. I wish I had a camera view of the right side of the car. I'm gonna see who's got the worst right side of the car. See some guys coming down pit road. Neil Quick coming in. Mike Harper. Chris Wally's in as well too. David Trumbley, Stoney Benfield. Tim Chauffeur been in for about 4 minutes. Heavy damage on that 27 car. Chris Quick in the 43. in for 7 minutes as well too. Dakota Clark and that '07 car also out, sitting in 19th. Overall, not a terrible race. Darlington can definitely create some exciting racing as well too. I don't think we had a full field, I would say. I'm pretty sure we're missing some other drivers. Alan Warnecki, I know he's not in the field tonight either. So once we get into Darlington on the main points, this field will get a little bit bigger, and it's going to be interesting for sure.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And this is, again, you know, this is a non-points race. These guys are just, you know, basically win or bust for these guys, and you know, should be a fun finish here.
Yeah, at the end of the day, these guys are just looking for they're looking for a little bit extra cash in their pocket for winning the race. So our next non-points race is going to be at Richmond. That's going to be January 21st. It's the All-Star race. So it's going to be consisted of race winners and pole sitters only. So hopefully, depending on what happens, we may have to change the ruling a bit. I know Chris has thought about it just because we've had the same guy win multiple races or get multiple poles. So depending on how that looks as we get closer, we could kind of see that ruling change and start to allow more guys to come in based off of maybe like points positioning or something like that as well too. So that will be another interesting race as well.
By the way, I don't believe you're live currently. We're about to go green.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're green right now.
Oh, we're green. Look at that. We're jumping in the future. Cameras, you know, they're hard. Anyways, lap 143 here. Jesse King is trying to fight off Kevin McCann to stay in that spot. Obviously did not take that pit, and we have a caution.
There was a big one.
Yeah, I see Neil Quick, Chris Wally, the 88 of Jarrett Widener in that one as well too. Ooh. Okay. The two of Quick and the 5 of Chris Wally there, not getting along. Neil Quick spun him out under caution. Take a look and see what brought this one out. Oh yeah, this is going to be huge. We could do a blimp cam for this one. We got a lot of action that's going to be happening here. It kind of starts to happen in front. Quick looks like he makes it through. I'm not too sure what was going on there. I didn't really see anything crazy happen around Quick. But let's ride on board with him and see if we get a different story. I'm not sure if he saw something ahead and was trying to slow down for it, and Wally got into him. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think he was afraid that he was going to hit the wall coming off of 2, because it looked like everything had kind of settled down then, but it looked like he kind of got on the brakes there, and Chris Wally just had nowhere to go from there.
And then we got this little escapade happening right here after this. The 2 gets up there with Wally and sends him for a ride. Takes him to the outside wall. So unless they're trying to create a little bit of drama for the broadcast,
I think they did. I don't. They've been talking to each other in the chat. I don't think there's any hard feelings right there.
Darn it! I wanted there to be hard feelings.
Well, the race isn't over yet, so there's still time for that.
Oh my God. I just saw that.
Oh.
As soon as I went live, Chris Wally just took his life live on track. That's unfortunate. Let's take a look at this. Oh man. He's gonna collect these water barrels right here. And now we're going to say a prayer.
Moment of silence.
It's so sad. So sad to see something like that happen on track. Chris Wally was such a great racer, and you know, he put together this league. He's done a great job with it, and just hate to see it happen like that at Darlington, of all places. So we'll have a vigil set up for Chris Wally next week. So come by and say your prayers for him. Yeah, rest in peace. Oh man, you gotta have some sort of fun here, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. So we're at 1 to go. Jesse B. King has been out there for a long time now, 46 laps since his last pit stop. Can he hang on for the finish here? We are basically going to have a green-white checkered, it looks like.
It's going to be rough for sure. I mean, you got Brian McCann 25 laps on, Kevin McCann 19 laps on. Again, don't know if I doubt they took the tires at that point. Yeah, no, this is going to be very interesting.
Yeah, I stand corrected. We'll restart with 3 laps to go here. So there'll be a green-white checkered.
If another caution comes out after this restart, we will have a green-white checkered. We got 3 of them tonight. I doubt we're going to use all 3. We may not even use 1. We'll just have to see how hard the racing is going. But $10 is on the line for the winner. And King is definitely looking to get some of that action there. So he's going to have the benefit of the doubt of being able to try to catch Kevin off guard here with a restart. And looks like he does a pretty good job with that. Yep, he's going to clear him on the front stretch. And now you got the McCann brothers linked up. Brian McCann's been quiet pretty much all night, but now he's up there at the front where it matters the most, near the end of the race. Jesse B. King just needs to hold on for 3 more laps. Kevin McCann's just trying to figure out what he needs to do to get up there, and I think he can figure it out pretty quickly. So these last 2 laps are going to come down to the wire. Brian McCann already on the high side of his brother is going to try and take this spot away, and he does. And now Brian McCann is getting a heck of a run coming into 1 and 2s. Oh no! Jesse B. King's going to nail that outside wall. Is going to give that spot away to Brian McCann. But luckily didn't lose a whole lot of momentum coming out of turn 2. But Brian McCann is going to get a ton of momentum out of turn 4. Loud Pedal Gaming white flag is in the air right here at Darlington. Last lap of the race, and a 5/10 of a second gap between Brian McCann and Jesse B. King. Now he's just trying to hold off Kevin to see what's going to happen here, but at this point, looks like Brian has got opportunity. Kevin's going to try and send it in the inside. That's an interesting route to take. It actually works really well.
And it
takes
worked.
that
wow.
second place spot away, and our winner is going to be Brian McCann. Kevin McCann finishing 2nd. Jesse B. King finishing 3rd, Mike Harper 4th, Neil Quick 5th. I can't believe Kevin McCann threw that thing down there like that in turn 4 and made it stick. Interesting. Stick around. We're going to have a couple interviews with the top 3 drivers and get a little take to see how they felt about tonight's race. Alrighty. Let's see. see there we go. All right, so it looks like Alan is caught up with Jesse B. King for some interviews. Jesse, you got a copy?
In full, guys.
Jesse, know you feel bad, not quite able to finish out there. Know you were hating that last caution that came out, but tell us, just kind of tell us how you were feeling, things. How was the car, and do you think you had it made there?
Man, the car was tight. I didn't think I had it, but you know, there with probably 20 to go, 25 to go, I had to send it, man. $10. I mean, come on, why not?
Yeah, definitely. Don't blame me one bit there. We were just everybody, literally everybody, was having issues. Just, I mean, there wasn't a single turn that was trouble. It was just the entire track that people were just nailing the wall down. But you said in the voice chat that you were about a lap short on fuel when that caution did come out. Do you think that you could have saved enough to the end, or do you think that the McCanns possibly would have been able to catch up to you anyway by then?
I knew Kevin probably would have caught me, yeah. Because I would have had to knock another second and a half, a lap off for maybe 5 or 6 laps to make up that one lap that I was short. So it would have been close there at the end. I would have loved to have seen it for sure.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a little bit of pressure there with about 2 laps to go. You kind of came off at turn 2 and nailed the wall. Were you feeling the pressure from Brian McCann behind you, or was it just more of you kind of gave it all you got and ran out of track?
Well, I guess you could call it a little bit of both, man. I mean, these McCann brothers, everybody knows who they are, and we just trying to beat them. So, I mean, I just left it all there. Really just ran out of track, giving it all I had, you know. So.
You definitely put on a great show for sure. The race was a ton of fun from our point of view. Guys kind of filling out the track. I think, I mean, with it not being a points race, you know, and it being a fun little thing, I think it allows those guys to kind of take the pressure off. We were off last week for Thanksgiving. You get to come back to a non-points race, so kind of a nice way of showing it back up. But now we're going to Michigan next week. How do you feel about Michigan?
I'm excited. I mean, I think it's going to be about like we've, seen all season. We're either going to be loose in or loose out, and it's going to come down to the guys that can manage tire wear. I mean, but that being said, I mean, we just got to keep grinding.
You did that tonight, and it planted you in 3rd place. So, congratulations on that. Of course, like I said, it's not for points, but it's still nice to at least break into the top 3. And hopefully we will see you next week.
Absolutely, guys. Hey, enjoy what y'all do. Thank y'all.
Yep. If you have any shout outs as well, too, you can go ahead and give those out while you're here.
Yeah, as usual. My wife, kids, Hayden, if you're still awake, we tried, buddy.
All right. Well, congratulations, Jesse. We'll see you next week.
And well, guys, have a good night.
All right, so coming up into 2nd place, Kevin McCann here, getting it done, but not quite enough to take it away from 1st. Kind of give us a little rundown of your night tonight.
I was just trying to stay clean and guess on the strategy, and I got both of those things wrong.
It seemed to be pretty fun on the long run. I mean, you were pretty much killing it once you got out front. You seem to have it pretty down pat for your pit strategy as well too. Kind of came out there at the right times as well. But I think with the incident that happened off of turn 2 with the 2 laps to go with Jesse, I mean, you were pretty much behind him, nowhere else to go. The only thing you could have done was basically just checked up at that point.
Yeah, I think what really did me in is somewhere around like lap 110. I got into it with a lap car. It was just a silly mistake. Tire fall off was so bad. It was fun in the long runs because it was, kind of like a game of who could save tires the most. And I thought I was doing the best, but I started to realize there toward the end that either Jesse was going to make it on fuel, which I was banking on him not doing, or I knew Brian still had a set of tires there late in the race because of his strategy. So, yeah, both of those things came into play there at the end. So,
Yeah, about halfway in this race, I mean, I don't think that Josh or I would have been surprised to see a McCann winning this race, but I think it's the fact that it was Brian being the one ending up winning the race that was such a surprise. There's got to be a little bit of hostility towards him after this one.
nah, he was just in the right place at the right time. I think if we didn't have that second caution there at the end, that last one, I think I would have gotten the job done. I knew Jesse would have been hard to pass, if he was fighting for the win, but I was going to put on a good show either way. I was going to make it happen. But that last caution really pretty much handed it to him, because the caution before that, he had to start at the end of the line.
Yeah.
So I didn't think he was going to be able to make his way up there.
And the paint scheme that you're running tonight, is it based off of, we were trying to decide what your paint scheme was around. I think, Alan, what driver did you have? Was it Kawicki?
No, it's Sam Ard.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's actually a friend of mine's watching tonight. It's his family that owns that company, Thomas Brothers Ham, Country Ham, and it's their family's owned that business for a very long time, as far back as when Sam Ard was racing in North Carolina. He's pretty popular late model driver here. So I made the paint scheme, to kind of pay tribute to him.
Nice.
Okay, well, don't go back and look at the beginning of this race, because we were guessing everything. Like I said, Kel Yarborough, because I thought because of the letters and the number in the front reminded me of a car, but we were definitely wrong on that one.
Well,
I would have been surprised if you got it right, to be honest.
Yeah, I say I saw Asheboro, North Carolina on there, and I was like, I don't know what driver would be from there that would have a paint scheme like this. It was kind of tough, but it's kind of cool. I mean, local history at that point.
Yeah, no doubt.
So, but congratulations, man! Second place. You are killing it, and between you and your brother at that point. So, like Alan's saying, it's almost kind of the same, seeing the McCann up front. You are making it tough. Let's just put it that way. So Michigan's next week. We're going back to points racing. Hopefully it's a track that you're good with. It's going to be fun regardless.
No, I'm not going to do well at Michigan. The bigger 1.5-mile tracks, that's where my brother, that's his skill set. I'm short tracks and road courses. So I think the weekend after we go to Watkins Glen,
yep.
If I don't win by 10 seconds, it's not going to be a good night.
Well, you got a couple of tracks then in your pocket, because we got Martinsville right after that, then Watkins, then Southern National, then Richmond. So like we're going to be in short track heaven.
Yep. I'm looking forward to it. Just got to make it through Michigan.
All right, man. Well, while you're here, is there anybody you'd like to shout out?
Thank you guys for doing the broadcast. Chris for putting it on. I think Neil put up some prizes for this race, so that's pretty cool to get something physical. And shout out to Tyler if he's still watching. And yeah, that's it. Shake and bake, baby.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on your second place finish, and we'll see you next week.
All right, see ya.
All right. So yeah, I mean, close. But I like it. I like the simplicity of most of these paint schemes, honestly. So it's nice. So now, Brian McCann, again, coming back up here, sitting in the back of the race pretty much the whole entire time. All of a sudden, 3 laps to go, and here you are. Walk us through that.
That was a heck of a race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
yeah.
You had an incident
on lap 2.
I was going to say you had an incident really in the beginning of the race there. The front end looked like it was pretty jacked up, but did it affect the car at all? I couldn't really tell.
Oh yeah, I had engine damage, so the driving was good, but the engine was damaged, so I was slower. And
Gotcha.
being wrecked on lap two, I didn't want to go take my quick repair, and I was also worried about going into the pits and it having required repairs. So
Yeah.
I just said, well, I'm going to stay out. And that first stint, I actually went in to get gas and didn't take tire, and ran the whole first stint on like 80 lap old tire, and then the last two is when I took tires, and I think that's eventually how I ended up winning, and then got lucky on the caution also. So
Yeah, I mean, did you end up taking? Yeah, you ended up taking a quick repair then. I'm assuming at some point.
yeah, like lap 80, I think.
Yeah, gotcha. So
So,
Go ahead.
Brian, $10. You're a very rich man. What you gonna spend it on?
Another month of iRacing.
Sounds good. I was thinking that this would, be special and go towards Coca-Cola Super Speedway when it does come out.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely getting that track.
Yeah, that's gonna be so much fun for everybody when that comes out. But anyway, we were telling Kevin we weren't gonna be shocked to see a McCann win this race, but if you had told me halfway in this race that it would be Brian, I would have been pretty surprised. So were you kind of surprised to be there at the end, or did you think that you were eventually going to get that break, which did end up happening with the late caution?
I didn't even think I was gonna be in top 10. I'm still surprised of how it went. I got to go back and watch all that. I still don't really understand it all.
there's a couple of quick cautions out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden you're up into third. You got the waiver round for to get back on the lead lap, which really helped out a ton. And there was only 3 cars on the lead lap. You were the third car.
Yeah, that definitely helped.
So, but short track racing, Darlington is kind of fun. I mean, everyone kind of gained their stripe tonight as well too. Kind of the go to here with Darlington, but Michigan's next week. I know we were talking to your brother. He's not a fan of the bigger 1.5 miles, but he says that you kind of dominate those 1.5 miles. So, what's Michigan looking like for you?
I'm pretty strong at Michigan. Yeah.
Not surprised, honestly. Short tracks seem to be your weakness, according
It is.
according to your brother. So after Michigan, I mean, we're looking at like 4 races in a row of just nothing but short track action.
And I told Chris Wally that the same thing you just said there. Short tracks are our weakness, and he said for season 3 they're doing all short tracks.
Well, now you just got to get better at short tracks, and then you're good. You got the 1.5 miles and everything else under your belt. That's all you need is the short tracks.
Yeah.
What's like with your short tracks? What's like the weakness for you? You would say.
I think saving tires is my strong point, and on short tracks that doesn't really matter as much. So that's where I fall off.
Gotcha. Well, it'll be interesting to see what happens, but you finished out here with a win, even though it wasn't points related. You still come home with a win. Now you got $10 extra to put towards whatever at that point. So while you're here, is there anything you'd like to say or shout out?
Yeah, R&R Raceware, they're doing plaques for this race, so the top 3 get the plaque.
I
And
can't wait to see a photo of that.
Oh yeah, and also I got some merchandise from them, and it's top quality stuff. So if anybody's interested, check them out. And also, Chris for putting on this show, and you guys for doing the broadcast and all. And my wife said if I won, I have to give a shout out to her, Marissa, and also my daughter Evelyn.
Nice. I love having family members who watch their significant others race. There's a couple other leagues that do the same thing, and it's nice being able to get like families involved in something that you're passionate about.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of fun, especially these guys, good group of guys. It's we're in a group chat, we talk all week. It's definitely fun. Yeah.
Congratulations on your win, man, and Michigan next week. So I'm sure we'll hear from you again. So rest up, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thank you.
All right. Well, Darlington is in the books. Went by pretty quick, honestly. I mean, the 150 laps is a lot. I mean, we had the 2 heat races, 25 laps, which, man, that was a show in its own at that point. And then we get to the feature, 150 laps in, even with 2-tire pit stops. At that point, a lot of these guys, again, making the track look like it was just completely easy. Most of those guys dominating as well too. But yeah, next week we're at Michigan. Sorry, I've brain fart out of nowhere. Yeah, Michigan next week. So another big track. Going to be a lot of room to navigate on that thing. So stop by here again next week, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, when the series starts up. And we're going back to points racing. Going to have 8 more races to go once we get to Michigan. And it's going to be anybody's game at this point. Brian McCann is the leader currently into the points as we go into that race. So it'll be interesting to see how much he can get that done at Michigan before we go to short track racing for the 4 weeks following that. So from everyone here, I'm not Brian, I'm Josh and Alan.